Good evening, viewers, and welcome to tonight's live webcast. Today we will be focusing on our Capture mobile app for iOS and iPhone. You have just been watching the three winning or top three competitors of the lighting design contest organized by our reseller Lighting Bits in Brazil. A competition that was sponsored by both us and Avolights. Unfortunately, we couldn't show it with the original music for copyright reasons, but we will be posting on our website within 1 to 2 days more information about the competition, as well as a link where you can watch the full video with the correct music for the lighting designs in question. So, as I mentioned, today's theme is our Capture mobile app. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the history of it, how it came to be, why we have it, why we think it's useful. I'm also going to talk a little bit about why we have it for iOS as opposed to, for instance, Android. And since we quite recently released a new version of it with some new features and a bit of a redesign, I'm going to do a complete walkthrough of the app and show you the features it has. You're more than welcome to ask questions throughout the webcast. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat and my colleagues will help me relay them to me. So don't sit and wait with the questions, send them right away when you have them, since it takes a few seconds before they reach me and I have an opportunity to reply to you. So we're going to jump into a live feed from my iPad here. I have the latest iPad Pro with the Silicon M1 chip in it. I also have a trackpad, which allows me to have this little mouse pointer thing so that you can see what I'm clicking on, which will be quite useful. So the first thing to do, of course, is to get the app itself. And I want to show you two ways to get hold of the Capture mobile app. One of them is to use the App Store app and the search function, where you will need to enter Capture mobile and search. Unfortunately, Capture is not the top search result. How well we position may depend on where you live and what is available in the App Store of your region. You will quite likely have to scroll down a little bit until you find it, as I did here. And then, as per any other app, you click on it and you hit install. So nothing special there. Another way of getting the app, if for whatever reason you're having problems finding it in the App Store, is to use a web browser. Go to our website, go to Downloads and download Capture. And here on the right-hand side, you will find a link directly to the app page in the App Store. So here are two easy ways of getting hold of the app. Once you have installed it, you can open it either from here in the App Store or by tapping the icon on the home screen of your iPhone or iPad. So let's do that. Now, what happens when we do that is that we get to see what is in fact the file browser of your iPhone or iPad. The file browser is the standard interface to see the files on your device, but also to access files that you might have on iCloud or Dropbox or Google Drive or whichever in the cloud file storage you are using. Now, this means that the Capture app is capable of opening Capture project files, regardless of whether you have received them as an attachment in an email, whether you download them directly in the browser, or as in my case, you have stored them on your iCloud or say, Dropbox account. So you can open capture files from other places than within the actual capture app. Or for instance, if you have received the file through AirDrop from another device. So capture has registered in a sense for the file type we have, which is C2P and C2S, and will open and display the file. So on that topic, the app opens both the C2P, which is the project file from the regular desktop version, but it also opens C2S files, which are the ones that you could save with the student edition. So it opens both regular and student edition files. I'm just about to actually open a file. I just want to remind you that if you have any questions, please write them in the chat and I will try and answer them as we go, or possibly save it for later if that is better. So let's actually open a file then. I have a file here called Chateau Mobile that I have prepared for today. Sorry, excuse me. I'm actually going to disable the Wi-Fi first, because that will mess with my presentation later otherwise. Go back into the app and open the file. So now I've opened a capture project file, and the user interface shows a design view on the right-hand side and a navigation menu on the left-hand side. This is a new-ish type of standard design for apps as proposed by Apple, to have this navigation bar on the left-hand side and the contents next to it. We can close and open this navigation bar with a little icon top left here. Now if you're in portrait mode, it works a little bit different in that it auto hides. And I believe the behavior is pretty similar on the iPhone regardless of whether you're in portrait mode or not, because there is much less screen space on an iPhone. On the right-hand side, we have a view. You have the navigation cube at the bottom here that you are used to. And top right, there is a little button here with 3 dots, which opens an options menu for the design view. If you look at the options, you will see that they are quite similar to the options available in the design view in Capture. So we can switch between wireframe, plot, and live here. I'm going to start in plot mode. We also have the camera menu that lets us switch, for instance, to a front camera, or, well, to any of the standard cameras, as well as the 5 customizable camera positions that you can record and save in the project file. So let's start in top view here. Now, let's interact a bit with the view itself. If you tap on it, click and drag, that is, you can move or panorate the contents of the view. If you pinch, you can zoom. And obviously it zooms to the position where you pinch. And finally, with 2 fingers, you can click and rotate the view. So this, with the exception of the 2-finger rotation, is basically the same kind of navigation as you have with a trackpad on a laptop. So it is very similar, if not identical. Except you will do it with the finger on the screen, probably, and not the trackpad as I'm doing here. But yeah, that's up to you. So I showed you how I can rotate the view, move it around, and zoom. So let's switch the view to live mode. So to show you that I also have my iPad hooked up to a lighting console. In this case, I'm running Avolite's Titan, which is transmitting DMX using streaming ACN to the iPad. Just to prove to you that it is actually doing so, I will run the dimmer levels of the front light up and down, so that you can see that it is live. Now, if we go back to the navigation bar on the left-hand side again, you can see that at the top there is an item called View that is highlighted. That is simply the design view. The view that you see is actually the alpha view that you would have seen in the desktop version of Capture when you saved the project. So it is the top left view, the alpha view, that we get to see in the mobile app when we open a project file. Below this, we have a few categories. We have snapshots, plots, and reports. Snapshots, well, relatively self-explanatory. You click on one of the snapshots in your project file and it plays back, just as it would in the Snapshots tab, or in the little, if you have exported a presentation file, you would have this little pane at the bottom with the snapshots. Well, this is essentially the same thing. This particular snapshot is a movie snapshot. So we can have both still snapshots and movie snapshots. Now, if you are new to Capture in any way, snapshots are a great way of preparing looks that you want to show to someone. So imagine you are proposing a design for something, then you could pre-record a number of snapshots that you want to show to someone. And of course, the great thing is that because this is now interactive, we can rotate and reposition the camera as we need while we are showing these snapshots. We even have access to the filters, scenes, and plot styles that we might have created in the project file. If you work with these, then you will have a reason for working with them. So maybe you have a few different scenes that you want to switch between, then you can do that in the app here as well. I haven't prepared any of that for this project file, but if you are used to Capture, then you know how that works. Now, we do have a question from Roy Arnevold. He is asking whether it will work on an older iPad. The truth is, it depends on exactly how old the iPad is and how heavy the project file is. We have to be honest here and acknowledge the fact that a laptop or a desktop computer is more powerful than your iPhone or iPad. So don't expect miracles, even though it should work, but you will not get the same performance. But in terms of looking at plots or reports, by all means, it should work without any problem. If you can be more specific, Roy, about exactly how old your iPad is, we might have a better chance of saying whether we think it will work or not. So let's return to the app again. I've talked about the filter, scene, and plot style options. We also have the other traditional options that you would find in a view in Capture, such as enabling the grid, turning on and off widgets that represent smoke, cameras, report items, and so on. Along with the other things like the project information, for instance, which shows at the bottom left with the logo and text information that you have chosen for your design. And finally, in this menu at least, we also have the visualization quality setting, and this is a new feature in the latest Capture mobile app version. This lets you choose between the 3 automatic quality levels we have, where you can choose whether you favor quality at lower frame rate or a higher frame rate at the expense of quality. So you're trading frame rate for visual fidelity here. Now, if you have a snapshot selected in the navigation here, well, then it's the snapshot you're looking at. If you want to go back to the live DMX feed, all you have to do is press on View again, and you are back to receiving the DMX from the lighting console, in this case, Avolite's Titan. Another new feature in the latest release, and by latest, I think it's been out for close to a week now, so you might already have it, you might not, but it is about a week old. one new feature is that we've extended the level of CITP support. That is the communication with the lighting console. So one thing that is new in this version is that if you select fixtures in the lighting console, then these are also selected in Capture. So it's the same selection feedback that you are used to from regular Capture with the console. The only catch is you can't select fixtures in the app at the moment. You can only select them in the console. But it does allow you to do things like double tapping in the view to send focus information back to the console. And it's either a double tap with a finger, or if you have a trackpad connected, it's a single, no, sorry, it's still a double tap. But you will arguably get a better precision with the trackpad because you have this small little dot here as opposed to your big fingery thing on the display. And of course, more precision on the big iPad than if you're on an iPhone, where it is probably quite fiddly to focus fixtures. But regardless, this is very useful if you want to pre-program some focus positions with your lighting console, but you don't have a laptop with you, or you don't want to have a laptop with you. You can simply set up your iPad along with the console and do this. This relies on fixture selection and DMX talkback using CITP. So the follow-up question will be, which consoles support this? Now, to answer that question, you can go to our connectivity page on our website. And I just shut down the Wi-Fi. Bugger. Anyway, at the moment, we have Avolite's Titan, we have Obsidian Onyx, we have 088 FLX, and I believe the latest release of the StageLight app also supports this. And if your console isn't listed, then please contact your console reseller, or if you know the product manager, and tell them that you would quite like to have this working with the Capture mobile app. I see we have a question from Marco Kamp. Are DMX camera movements also preserved in Snapshots and or the live view? So yes, if you have recorded a snapshot with camera movements, then that will also play back in the mobile app. So as long as you have recorded it for the alpha view. That's the only catch. So you need to record it for the alpha view because that is effectively the view you are seeing in the app. Moving along, we are almost done actually. Two more new features in the latest app are the ability to see the plots and the reports. So you now get a list of all the plots in your project file. You can open them and of course zoom in, pan around, have a look at them, read out the information you need, as well as the reports that you have created in the project. So in this case, there's a location report, for instance. So if you have a habit of working with your files in a cloud storage, then wherever you are, if you have a question about the project you're working on, you can pull out your iPhone or iPad, open the project file, which will be synced, and have a look in the reports or plots and read out the information you need. So it affords you more flexibility wherever you are, as long as you are storing the project files in a place where your iPhone or iPad can access them. So this brings me on to the part I mentioned, why we are creating this app and why we've made it for iOS and not for Android, for instance, which is a common question. The really short answer is that it was really easy for us to make this app on iPad and iPhone because we already have a macOS app. If you look at the Capture software, you have a large piece of software that sits on top of two smaller pieces of software. One of them is the Windows part and one is the macOS part. So most part of Capture doesn't actually even know kind of computer it's running on, we have a sort of adapter that plugs in between the operating system and Capture. Now, if you already have a Mac OS adapter, then the iOS adapter is, at least in our case, extremely similar. It's almost a copy and paste. The only differences are a little bit in the window layout, the navigation, because on Mac OS you can move windows around, close them, and interact with applications in a different way. But the entire rendering engine, all the networking code, how to access files, and all of these things are identical. So regardless of whether we would have released the iOS app, I'm sure we would have made one just for fun internally anyway. And we do think that it is very useful and valuable, and we want to develop it over time, which is also why we would love to have your feedback on what we should do with it. So please give a review for the app, give us your feature requests, or email them to support@capture.se, and let us know what you think we should do with the app in the future. Now, on a final note, even though we understand that some would prefer an Android app, I just want to point out that we think that it is most useful on a tablet. So keep in mind that you could purchase an iPad for the purpose of using the app. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to switch out your Android phone or anything like that. And if all you're going to do is look at plots and reports, for instance, then you really don't need an advanced iPad either. You will get away with something pretty basic. So, having said that, let's see if we get any questions. I have one here already from Roy Arne. He has a version 10.3 iPad. It's the 4th generation iPad from late 2012, so unfortunately that one is too old. I think we should probably try and get out somewhere on the support page a more definitive description of exactly what you need. But in general, I believe if you go to the App Store and the app is listed as unsupported, well, then you will not be able to run it on the device. So you will either be able to download and install it, or it should say that it doesn't work. So the best way really is to just check in the App Store, basically. Christian Jackson is asking, is there a future for using the accelerometer in the device to focus real lights using CITP console feedback? Excellent question. I guess that would imply that you would be focusing the lights using the device like some kind of joystick, in which case the accelerometer might make sense. The focusing tool in Capture, though, is built on the idea that you click on something to focus at, so there isn't much of acceleration involved. It's a sudden instruction. But if you have more specific thoughts, or if you want to elaborate on the idea around it, then do drop us a mail and or hook up some other way, and we can discuss it. At the moment, the workflow supported is you select fixtures in the console and then you click somewhere to focus them in Capture. Of course, we would also want to allow you to select fixtures in the mobile app. Probably also show the list of fixture groups in the project file, so you could select fixtures that way. And at that point, the app is already almost becoming something like a remote focus tool, where we might consider bringing in our control pane, for instance. But we would like to see more consoles support CITP TalkBack before we take that too far, to be honest. We will definitely be adding support for ETC, EOS, OSC-based communication, though. So that is very definitely in the pipeline for the Capture 2022 release. So I believe that we have a bunch of generic questions as well, and if we are out of mobile app questions, then I think we will move on to the generic questions. So I thank you for watching the mobile app presentation thingy. And we look forward to your feedback. One more mobile app question. Alexei is asking whether it's possible to render a JPEG picture in the iOS app. No. At the moment, it would only be possible to take a screenshot. I would love to hear more about why you would render on the fly in the app. Actually, I could mention that with the new CITP support, we also support the thumbnail transfer to the console. So if you're recording focus palettes or any other kind of palette for that reason, and you're on a console that can grab a screenshot from capture, that will also work with the mobile app now. Anyway, generic questions. Graham Roberts is asking, do we have the new MacBook Pro yet? It would be interesting to know how capture runs on it with the M1 Max. So we do have a new MacBook Pro ordered. We haven't received it yet. It is not the top of the line configuration. It's the medium one. But it's our ambition to set that up and do a performance comparison with some other well-known hardware, like for instance a 2070 card on a Windows machine or another specific Mac. So it's on the way, and it's our intention to give you some information about how it performs. From what we have read rumor-wise, it is very promising, and it's possibly even so that the most powerful laptop you could buy to run capture is quite possibly actually the new MacBook and not a PC laptop. But this remains to be confirmed, so this is pure speculation from my side. We have another question from Winner222. Capture, is there any plan for more realistic focus simulation of fixtures with zoom and focus? There are plans for better focus channel support in this. Today the focus channel goes from defocused to fully focused. This is usually not what the actual fixture does. Usually it goes from unfocused to focused to defocused. So that is a kind of adjustment we want to do. But in terms of visualizing the correct focus for any combination of gobo wheels or effect wheels with different zoom settings, that is probably honestly completely unrealistic. We would not be able to get that kind of data from any manufacturer. We would have to set up every individual fixture and run through some automated testing procedure. And generally, that's not the kind of thing we pursue. We prefer having all fixtures on the same level rather than just having a few fixtures in the library that are on an elite level, like some sort of boutique software solution. No, we want all the thousands, tens of thousands of fixtures in the library to be generally on the same level. So we are limited really to the information delivered by the fixture manufacturers. Jeremy Davis is asking, can we control the ambient light directly in the mobile app? No, you cannot, but it's an excellent feature request. Since I've only seen it as Snapshot and I have not seen the option to control the ambient light directly, no. So no, it does not exist at this point, but it is a very good suggestion that I think will go quite high on the priority list. Light in Motion is asking, any plan to utilize the iPad/iPhone camera's live feeds as a media source, or even better, as green-screened virtual actors? So, not really. However, there is an excellent app called NDI Camera, I think that is the name, that takes the video from your iPhone or iPad and sends it on the network as an NDI feed. I don't think you could run it in the background together with the mobile app, but basically you could use any iPhone or iPad to grab a live feed, send it on NDI, and then you could stream that into Capture and incorporate it into your design. We've had some questions whether you could, or we could, record the stage and then overlay lighting on top of it in the app. And in theory we could, but in order to record the stage as an underlay, you have to see the stage, which means you already have lighting in the real world. And then when you mix real world lighting with fake lighting, it would probably look very weird. So while we haven't tried it, that's not an idea that we necessarily believe a lot in. More questions. Christian is asking, is there a way for materials with the media input to default to black instead of white when there is no signal from the media source? I don't know off the top of my head. It's quite possible that it's not doable at the moment, and I realize that might well affect your Capture mobile experience, so that is a very good point we will look at. Thank you. We also have a few comments and greetings. We have hi from Russian tutorials. Christian is also commenting that NDI-HX works great, which is a video capture NDI technology. And Roy Arne is asking, is there a way to read out the approximate lumens on a surface? So in desktop capture, that is not related to the mobile app I've showed you, there is a tool called the focus plane. The focus plane has a mode that we call the heat map mode, which shows you lighting levels in lux on a surface. And what you can do is you can input the range of the heat map. So if you say that it should show values between, and I don't know what the realistic lux value is, to be honest, let's say between 80 and 150, which is probably very low, then you know the heat map will be red at 150 and blue at 80, so you can use it to read out lux levels. But it's not really designed for the purpose. It is a bit of a hack. But take a look at the focus plane. I believe there is a section on it in the manual as well that describes how it works. Jeremy Danise is asking, or saying, it would be excellent to have an option to filter what to record in the snapshot regarding lighting and video. An interesting point. At the moment, Capture will record all the incoming DMX and all the camera positions, and therefore, regardless of which filter you've applied to your view or which view you are even in, you already have all the data to display those fixtures. So I would like to learn more about why you would want to filter during recording and not playback. Maybe you could drop us a mail to support@Capture and we could discuss that a little bit. And maybe finally, because I think we are coming to a close, Graham Roberts asks, can you use a view as media input so you can feed it onto LED screens or map it to materials? You cannot. There is a hack to use a NDI screen grabber to grab a live view in Capture, feed that back using NDI, and apply it to a material that way. We have noted quite a few requests for this and might try something similar out in a near release as well, since it seems to be a common feature request. So we are wrapping it up here. I want to thank you a lot for all your excellent questions. I hope you enjoyed the mobile app presentation, that you download it in the App Store and give it a review. That would help us a lot. Next time we see you, it's going to be our annual Christmas special, which will be festive and bring interesting surprises. I look forward to seeing you again then in around, I believe, 6 weeks from now. It's early December. Thank you for watching and see you soon again.